Being more productive. What does that mean? Everyone has their own meanings and rules. In today's session, I'll talk about the 20 IntelliJ IDEA features that has helped me to become a more productive developer, or should I say to develop my applications with pleasure. But there is much more to IntelliJ IDEA than what I cover in the next 20 minutes. Check out our website and download IntelliJ IDEA today. Let's get started. Quick introduction. I work as a developer advocate with JetBrains. I'm a Java champion and author of multiple books on Java. I also lead Delhi Java User Group and Women Who Code Delhi, where I also lead the publication of Technology Grid, which is our monthly newsletter. Whether you are new to IntelliJ IDEA, switching from another IDE, or a long-time IntelliJ IDEA user, you should know how to personalize your UI to start with. This is how I see a lot of developers using IntelliJ IDEA to code their applications. But when I work with IntelliJ IDEA, I like to remove a lot of clutter in terms of the windows that I'm using and all the additional tool windows or navigation bars that I'm using, and also change the theme. So let me start with changing the theme of IntelliJ IDEA. So at present, I'm using IntelliJ Lite, and I want to change it to a darker theme, which is Dracula. I'm using Presentation Assistant in IntelliJ IDEA, which would flash all the shortcuts that I would be using in this session towards the bottom of my screen with a green background so that it's easy for you to see the shortcuts that I'm using. I can also install a theme without restarting my systems. Now let me get rid of the visual clutter that I mentioned. I'm using Find Action to remove all the clutter that I mentioned. I don't have to close the Find Action window to search for the other options. Okay, now I don't want to see the navigation bar. And what else is remaining? I don't want to see the main menu. I can turn this one off as well. Let me remove the tab placement as well. I don't want to see them. Of course, I have other ways to move around and navigate in my IDE. What remain here? Okay, the tool windows are, okay, the tool window bars, that they are the vertical and the horizontal bars that you see on the bottom and left of your screen. So they go as well. Of course, you can get them back as you want them, and there are other ways to navigate in your IDE. Now, what remains is the project window, the run window, and the Maven window. I could get rid of all of them in one go by saying hide all the windows, or I could make them go away one by one, like Alt in 1 for my project window and Alt in N for my Maven window, Alt in 4 for my run window. So this is how you can quickly change the UI of your IDE. I can also change the view mode. Like since I often present my code, I use the presentation mode, which increases the font size of the code that I'm presenting. There are other modes, which is the distraction-free mode, full screen, and the Zen mode. And I would like you to work with them and let me know how they do. You can also add a background image to your IDE, and I often do that when I'm traveling and I'm missing my family a lot. So I click on OK here and here. This is my husband and my younger daughter. And if you think the image is getting much in the way of your coding, you can also change the opacity of the image so that it's not too intrusive. So this makes it be more lighter. IntelliJ IDEA has excellent integration with tools like Maven. You can even open your Maven projects by dropping the POM file to IntelliJ IDEA. IntelliJ IDEA is intelligent enough to understand that it's a Maven project and it has to be opened like that. So let me trust this project and open it in IntelliJ IDEA. You can view the structure of the POM XML using your editor. And I also like to drill, and I could use the next method or the previous method features to jump through the elements of the POM XML. But what I prefer is the structure view, which lets me jump to the groupings. Like I can go to the dependencies and I can go to the properties or the plugins. The Maven window lets me also view the dependencies of the dependency. And what's better, I could also view all the dependencies as a UML. This one's really exciting because this is one of the features that I really like in IntelliJ IDEA, because I can also try and I can also view the conflicts or the duplicates. That's really helpful when you are working with a bigger code base and you want to find out the cyclic dependencies or the ones which have the conflicts. You can also export this image to a file and of course share it with your team. You can save it and you can print it as well. The other thing that I like about Maven tool window is that I can define run configurations. I can define run configuration. I want to add a Maven run configuration and I want to name it as demo manning, and I want to execute the command as clean and verify. I can store this run configuration as a project file, and IntelliJ IDEA will ask where I want to store it. I can also commit the run configuration to my version control system and save it and share it with my teammates. Okay, let me go to the dependencies, and here I can either control click or I can use go to declaration feature and I can drill down to the POM XML of the dependency that I have. So here I am in the POM XML of Hamcrest library. So I can drill down into the POM XML file of the dependencies that I have in my main POM XML file. If I go to my Maven window, I can also download all the sources. I can either download the sources or the documentation or both for a single dependency or all of them. IntelliJ IDEA has a 4-month release cadence and it can very well keep up with the 6-month release cadence of Java. This essentially means that you get a lot of assistance when you try to use new language features in Java. Let's work with an example. Imagine you want to create a new type, say person. When I say Alt and Enter, which shows me the context action, IntelliJ IDEA knows that you can create a class person or you can create a record person. Let me choose creation of a record. I choose the default destination package, and in this case, I also get the components which matches the constructor that I was trying to use. Let me change this as name and this one as age. In this example, I'm trying to use pattern matching for instance of, which is one of the latest Java language features. When I get a variable in another color, I know that IntelliJ IDEA has some suggestions for me, which I can access by invoking the context-aware actions using Alt and Enter. In this case, I'm selecting other, replacing other with pattern variable, and this is what I get. I can also use Alt and Enter and see if there are some suggestions which might not be related to the latest Java language feature or something that I want to do, but I could do. So in this case, I'm selecting merging of the nested ifs. Now I have another suggestion, which is simplifying of the if-else statement. So this is how I could use one of the latest Java language feature with assistance from IntelliJ IDEA. The next example is of seal class, which lets us define secure hierarchies in a declarative manner. Before I seal a class and restrict which other classes can extend it, let me view the available subclasses of class plant. So this is how I can view the subclasses, or I could view the subclasses as list by using the type hierarchies. Now I can invoke the context action and use the option seal class. And in this case, my classes would be sealed, defining which other classes are permitted to extend it. If I go to the definition of class climber, I see that it has also been modified. One of my favorite language features in Java is text blocks, which was again added in one of the recent versions. Text blocks allow you to define multi-line strings, which are a pain to define with the regular Java strings. So in this case, what I have in my example here is a regular string which tries to define a JSON value, and let's see how I can convert that to a text block with just a click of a button. So I just invoked context aware actions, and now I'm choosing replace with text blocks. Now this is much simpler to read. One other thing is I can also inject a language or reference in my string values. So let me again select Alt and Enter, and I say inject language or reference. Since I know this is a JSON value, I chose the value JSON. Now, if you can see at the end, you can see a orange underline, which says that this value is incomplete or incorrect. Now, what I see missing is if I say navigate to the next highlighted error using F2, I can see that I'm missing a comma here. So when I inject a language or a reference in a string value, applies to regular strings or text blocks, I can actually work with my values which are in other languages like JSON or regex value, regular expressions, and much more. You also get code completion if let's say you are working with database queries. Another recent language features is the switch expressions. So in this case, I have switch statement, and I can convert this to a switch expression with just one click. If you have been working with previous versions of Java, moving to Java 8, the functional programming style, could be a challenge. In this case, IntelliJ IDEA can help. Let's work with an example. IntelliJ IDEA suggests that this lambda could be replaced with a method reference. This could come in very handy if you are trying to learn functional style programming. Now let me go to another example and see how IntelliJ IDEA can help. In this case, it says this for loop could be replaced with a call to collections.addAll. Live templates lets you type faster in IntelliJ IDEA with fewer bugs. You can use the inbuilt live templates in IntelliJ IDEA or create your own. You can use simple templates in IntelliJ IDEA, like using main to generate the main method. You can also use PSVM, which is the acronym for public static void main, to generate the same main method. The other frequently used live templates are SOUT for system.out.println. You can use a variation which is SOUTV to print out the value of the local variables that you define in a method. Similarly, SOUTP to print or to output the values of your method parameters, and a couple of others as well. You can also use the parameterized templates in IntelliJ IDEA. In this example, when you type FORI and hit tab or enter, you get a for loop with the parameters which you can replace to get the values to use the values that you want. You can use surround templates to wrap your line of codes. In this example, when you select this line of code and invoke Control Alt J, you can select the option to wrap your selected code with. Creating a new live template is easy. Go to Settings, search for Live Templates and click on the plus button. Then select Live Template. Now, add in the abbreviation and the description and the template text that you want to be inserted when you use the live template abbreviation. In this case, since you have parameters, you need to define what they would be doing. I can also define the default values and click on OK. At the end, define the Java. At the end, define the context in which this live template will be applicable. In this case, I'm selecting Java. When I click on OK, I can write test and click and hit on tab, and I would see that the text that I entered for my live template has been inserted in place of text. Since I defined parameters for my live template, I can also modify their values, and of course I can also see the default values that I entered. Though I work with Java most of the time, I also use other languages which I can easily use in IntelliJ IDEA. I recently hosted my website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I have this project in IntelliJ IDEA, and like the code completion that I get in Java projects, I can get similar code completion for my HTML and CSS as well. I can also move around my project window and I can view the images that I have in my editor window. The other thing that I like about is that when I go to index.html, I can actually view the changes. I have a built-in preview in IntelliJ IDEA. So when I click on this, I can see the changes as they would appear here. And of course, I can also control click, use the usual navigation features that I'm used to working with in Java for the other project languages as well. Of course, as I mentioned in the beginning of the session, 20 minutes are not enough to demonstrate the features that I use every day, which are great for the developers. So I would quickly demonstrate a couple of features in the last 2 minutes. And for the rest of the features, I request you to go and check out our website and our YouTube channel, which has a hell lot of videos. IntelliJ IDEA, as I mentioned, lets you work with multiple languages. And when you're working with, let's say, your Markdown language documents, you get to see how the final version would look in your editor. So whenever you make any changes here, you can see the changes right here in your editor, which I think is really handy. When you're working with your web applications, you can also use the HTTP client window to open such requests, and there you can execute this request. You also have examples just in case if you are not aware about how to create those applications, how to create those requests to test your applications. The other thing which I wanted to show you was the icons that you have in the gutter window. They tell you about what kind of class that you're working with. And you can also click here to open your HTTP client window. And you can also view all the endpoints that you have in your web applications. Like this comes in. So this is a test, this is a demo application. Of course, it has just a couple of the endpoints, but when you're working with big applications, bigger web application, this window is quite handy. There are a bunch of things that I wanted to cover but could not, like creating new shortcuts, plugins, refactoring inspections, code analysis, VCS integrations, test-driven development, profiler integration. You can find more about IntelliJ IDEA by using any of these links to access our blogs, Twitter, and YouTube channel. And thanks for watching.